Lovelies, my name is Jessica and welcome to Makeup Misfit. Today we're chatting eyeshadow palettes, and the day that this video goes up is actually my birthday, and I figured pairing the most fun category with the best day ever made a perfect pairing. So that is what we're going to be discussing today. But I do just want to preface this quickly. I may have forgotten a couple things here and there. I always feel like there's something that I have missed. And find something a little bit later on, so I apologize if I do. And I also want to mention that I actually forgot about 3 eyeshadow singles from yesterday's video. These are actually not included in my pan percentage or any numbers, but because they are still potted, I never really think about them, and they are in a different area, so I don't ever really think about these. So I had 68, but now I actually have 71. And again, my 19.11% technically has changed slightly, but I think I'm still just going to stick with what I have counted for the rest of this year. And then potentially next year, if I do pan percentages and stuff again, I will try to remember and include those 3 in that. So those numbers are going to vary a little bit. But as of today, like I said, we are chatting eyeshadow palettes. Now, I'm not going to necessarily be going in any particular order. I do have things piled here by brand. So if I have more than one palette from a brand, it is in a pile, but I'm just kind of going to grab and go and just chat with you guys about what I have. Now, again, like I said, maybe missing a couple of things. I did count out all of my palettes, and I believe as of right now, I have 85. If anything is different, I will put it up on the screen at some point. I'm heading into work the day I'm filming this evening. So I have all of my numbers on a spreadsheet there. So I'm going to kind of just confirm some things. And if it's different, I will put it up on the screen. But as of right now, I counted 85 eyeshadow palettes. So let's just get on into it. Now let's start off with just this one right here. This is one of my one-offs, and actually I think that's what I'm going to start with. I have a couple pile of one-off eyeshadow palettes. This is by NARS, and this is the Afterglow palette. I really do enjoy this. I've only used it a few times. I enjoyed every look that came out of this, so this is something that I do want to eventually reach for more, but I really did enjoy using it when I did. I got this off of Poshmark for a couple of years ago now, so I was happy to finally get a little bit of use on that, and I really did enjoy it. Next, I have what I think is my only Viseart palette. This is the Violet Étendue palette, so this is the purple version. Really pretty. I still feel like I need to dip into this because it's been a very long time. Something about it just kind of makes me not want to, but at the same time, there's enough neutrals in here that I feel like I could get a really decent look out of it. And I was so excited to purchase this in the first place. So I do want to, maybe create a pile after this of palettes that I really want to start reaching for. And this is definitely going to be in there. One palette that I really do enjoy is from Sugar Drizzle, and it is the Sugar Dreams palette. This is what it's looking like. It's a 9-pan palette of shimmers. I really did enjoy this when I had it in my project level up for level 5 back in 2025. You can see I've got some really good decent pans going on there. There's another one here, and I think it was this one. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe I didn't even actually end up hitting pan in that one. No, it was just these 5 that I did. But anyways, I was very close to hitting pan on this one, so my goal was to try and actually do that, but I never did. Now, my Becca Eyelights palette, if you watch my channel, you would know that this is all that I have left. I officially have pan in both of the last shades now, and it's just a matter of trying to finish these bad boys off. I hit pan in this one recently. Actually, I think it was towards the end of last year in one of my projects. I had it in Beauty Chest, and then this one I also had in Beauty Chest for the same prompt, but I just wanted to expand the pan on this one and get a little bit more use on it. I think I'm semi-close, not really, but semi-close to hitting a side pan. If I decided to focus in on this, that would probably be what one of my goals would be. Another palette is the Artist Couture Supreme Nudes. I also had this in Project Level Up last year. For level 2, I have completely finished off the Bone Matte shade in here that I used to set down my lids. These were the 2 that I used to hit pan on. I didn't mind this palette. I think some of the reviews seemed to say it was better than I thought it did. it was, but again, maybe if I just sit and play with it and don't feel like the pressure, not that it's really pressure, but you know what I mean, of trying to hit pan and stuff like that, and just sit for like a week and play with some eyeshadows and see how I actually feel about it. Because I didn't mind it, but I definitely don't think it was like what I was expecting compared to some of the reviews that I had heard. I do have one palette from Uma Beauty. This is the Coming to America palette, and we're going to take that out. And this is such a pretty palette. I had used this in a project quite a few years ago, and I ended up using every shade in this palette. It was kind of unintentional, but after I realized I did that, I was like super happy with myself. Some of these shimmers are absolutely beautiful. Again, hasn't been something that I've reached for a very long time, so I probably should, but I did enjoy using it when I did. Another palette is from Maybelline, the Nudes of New York palette. This is what she's looking like. I have one shade completely finished off. This is the one that I'm trying to focus in on to use up and use as my lid setting shade. However, I really haven't been doing that much lately at all. So I really haven't been gravitating towards or pulling this palette in at all. But I feel like I probably should. I should get back to setting my lids a little bit. So this is the shade that I was doing that with, and I'm hoping that I can just maybe pull this out and leave it on my vanity and get a little bit more use on it. The one and only Urban Decay palette that I have is the Naked palette. I had this in Project Level Up as well for, I believe it, whoa, there goes the brush. For 2 pans, for level 2, I hit pan in this shade right here and then this shade down here. I really did enjoy that one. I always have said that this is a palette that I feel like I can use almost every single shade within one single look, like at least every single matte I can pour onto my eyes. I find it absolutely beautiful. I love how it blends out. I love how it just all works together so well. So I definitely was, utilizing this palette in that way while I was working on it last year. And I really did enjoy it. I haven't reached for it since, haven't really felt the need to. But again, I am really happy that now this palette has 2 pans in it. And then I have my only Udanzai palette. This is the Solmana 2 palette. I have been wanting the other one, which is like the Wish and Moon or something like that. But even though this color story grabs me and so does the other one, I haven't bit the bullet yet because I really don't reach for this as much as I thought I was going to. I have a pan in here and I was focusing on this shade, I believe it was, trying to hit pan a couple of years ago, and I just never got there. So a part of me is just kind of hesitant about using a lot of these blue shades up here. As for the rest of them, minus like this shade and obviously this really dark blue shade up there, I feel like I could use them, but I don't necessarily see it as like a cohesive look. It would probably be more of a companion palette in a way, especially if I'm excluding the blues, then it's not really pulling that together with the purples. But this is what my palette looks like, and regardless, I'm still happy that I have it because if I feel like I want to reach for it, at least it's there. All right, so now we're moving on to the other pile of one-offs that I have. This one is from Kevyn Aucoin. This is technically a duo that I have finished off the brown shade in here a very, very long time ago. I was using this as a contour shade. This light pink shade is all that's left. However, I still consider this a duo because of the packaging that it came in. It's not a single. So eventually one day I would like to completely finish this off because it has been in here for a very long time. I bought it at Winners years and years ago. I also have my Violet Voss Care Bears palette. I really do enjoy this palette when I reach for it. It's been a long time and I do have this in my Project Level Up for this year as an option. So who knows when this is going to be rolled in, but I'm really excited for that day to happen and to be able to get a little bit more use on this, show some pans. I've got a nice dip going in the shade Champ Bear right there. And I just remember really loving and pairing all of these shades together, even though it looks like a companion palette. It definitely is, but I was also able to use this just as like a full look a few times, and I really did enjoy that. Pretty sure I reached for like the pink, the peach, and probably the purple a couple of times. Did the gold here, the blue and the green in a couple of looks. Also probably did the top row as a certain look and the bottom row as a look. So I really have enjoyed it, and I'm really excited to eventually use this again sometime this year. I do have my Kaleidos in as my Pan That palette in order this year, so I'm not going to show you this palette, this color story. If I can find a photo of any of the palettes that I'm currently working on, I will put up the color stories. but don't hold me to that. This is a palette that I'm excited to be using finally because it's been a very long time since I've reached for it. Minus the shades that I'm working on, there's still a shade in here, the very last shade. It's a light matte brown shade that has a nice little dip going on it in it. So I'm excited to eventually have pan in all 5 of the shades in this palette. This palette is from What's Up Beauty. It is the Geodes palette. Again, this is in Project Level Up. So when this gets rolled in, I am really, really excited. I already have 6 pans showing in this palette, and I have 6 pans that still have yet to be hit. So the shade Rock right here, I have used in my brows every time I've reached for this palette, and it went so quickly. So I'm really excited to continue to get some use and some love on this palette, and I'm crossing my fingers for Project Level Up. Another one in Project Level Up this year is the Vintage Glam palette by Gloss Gods. I do have 1 pan in here already. I used this in a project sometime last year. I wanted to hit pan in that shade. It took me a little bit, but I finally got there. I think it is a very pretty color story. There are a couple other Gloss God palettes that I want. I think a couple of them are out of stock. I don't know if they're coming back or not. But again, I haven't really reached for this, but it is in Project Level Up as an option, so I will wait until then. But I am really happy that I do have this palette because I really wanted to try their formula, and I thought that this was a good color story to do that with, minus one of the neutral ones that I want. Then from BH, I have the Sweet Shop Sugar Cone palette. I did want a few other ones of these, but this was the only one that I ended up purchasing, and I'm okay with that now. I had this in Project Level Up last year for level 3, so the 2 shimmer shades here and this 1 matte shade down here is what I have pan in. I really enjoyed wearing this a lot. It was very simple and easy to use, a quick 1 and done, 2 and done type of look. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm excited to eventually get a little bit more use on it as well. From Tarte, we have the original Tarteist Pro palette. This is something that I have debated holding on to. This shade right here I completely used up because I used that to set my lids quite a few years ago. There's some shades in here that I'm never going to reach for, and there's quite a few where the pan embossment that just says Tarte has been worn off because the shade, like the palette fell, the shade cracked and broke a little bit. I've been wanting to reach for that shade to hit pan on, but I just never have. Again, a lot of these darker tones I'm never really going to reach for, and a couple of like these shimmers down here I don't think I'm going to. It's been something that I'm not able to let go of as yet, but I don't know if it's going to, if I'm ever going to get to that point, or if I'm just gonna bite the bullet and try and use it one day and see what happens. Another palette that I had in for Project Level Up last year was the Delicious Delights by Cosmic Beauty, or Cosmic Brushes, whatever they go by. So I think I had this in for level 4, so I do have 4 pans in here, which is really exciting. I did enjoy this. You can see some really decent dips and pans going on right there. This was a shade that I really enjoyed as well. Some of these mattes are really pretty. This is the only one that I have, because even though there's been a couple others that have like caught my attention, this is really the only palette that like made me actually bite the bullet and purchase. So I've absolutely loved the shimmers in this palette, and I would like to continue to use this one in the future. Then one of my newest palettes is the Bella Beauté Bar. This is the Unoriginal Nudes palette. We have no pan, we have no usage, we have absolutely nothing, not even a swatch, and I'm okay with that. I do have this in a project for 2 looks. I will get there one day, but I have not done that as of yet, and I think it's a little too new, but again, I know I need to start using my palettes. But I really do enjoy this. I thought that this was probably the perfect color story to test out this brand with. This is the one and only palette, the first palette that I've tried from this brand. They are on the pricier end in Canadian. It's $100 per palette for the most part, averaged out. So there are a couple others that I want, but I don't know if I'm going to bite the bullet. Again, I haven't tested it yet, so we'll have to see. But again, I don't know if I really want to continue spending like $100 per palette, and that's prior to shipping. Then my Ensley Rain Groovy Garden palette. I really love this color story. Again, there's a few others that like the color story had caught my attention, but this was the only one that I ever actually ended up biting the bullet and purchasing. Again, over about $100 or so per palette. So I do have one pan here in the shade Free Spirit. It might be a little hard to see because it does kind of blend in with the shade and the shimmer, but it's absolutely beautiful. I actually tapped that shimmer on top of a look that I did for when I celebrated my birthday this past Saturday evening. I did a Y2K themed birthday party. I loved it. The look was absolutely beautiful, and just that tapped over the pink that I had done. It was so pretty. I absolutely loved it. All right, so I do believe I have officially gone through all of my one-off palettes. So we are going to just pull piles and go. So my Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette. You guys would have seen only about a week ago the progress in here with my Panning Solitaire project. So I will show you guys what the palette looks like because I am super happy with it. Even though a couple of my favorite shades are obviously gone from this palette, I really do thoroughly enjoy this. Okay, close on me. I am currently working on these two shades here, and then I have these three left to hit pan on. I have been working on this shade a little bit, not that I need to, but just, you know, something simple to throw all over the lid. It is really soft. I have really enjoyed it. This was my absolute favorite shimmer, and now it's gone, and I only have these two left, but that's okay. I'm excited to continue to get some use on this, see how far I can get. And then I do have the new Makeup by Mario, the Nature palette. I never did purchase the Moon one. But this is brand new, untouched, not swatched, not a thing. So I am curious about like the shimmers in this palette because I know that they're not the toppers that are in my beloved here. But I am excited to try out this palette. I do think it's a little bit more on the lighter side, which I enjoy as well. With like a couple of like this brown shade, I think I could probably wear a little bit more than the deeper one in here. So I am excited to show this palette a little bit of love, but I'm not ready to do that just yet. It is going back into the box. I want to get a little bit more use on the original Ethereal Eyes before I start to dip into, don't drop it, into the Nature version. So let's chat about this pile right over here, my Huda Beauty. I do have a 1/9 pan. This is the Pink Neon palette. There is a part of me that still wants the orange one, but I'm not going to go and look for it or anything like that. This was the one that I ended up purchasing. I do have 2 pans in here. Yeah, a very small one above here, and then obviously you can see that one. I really don't reach for this palette very often, but I don't want to get rid of it yet. Again, I think this is something that I want to just kind of sit around with and play for a week or so, just try and get a couple of looks out of it, see how I feel about it. I don't think I can actually let it go just yet, but I know it's not the same formula as her 18 pan palettes, which is what you guys are going to see next, and I really do enjoy those ones. So my Mercury Retrograde palette. This is what we are looking like as of right now. I have been slowly but surely trying to finish this palette off. I do have 3 shades completely gone. I have every other shade in here has pan minus Vortex and the shade Haze. I have actually repressed these 2. This one was getting so minimal in the pan that I decided to repress it because it was just getting too difficult to use. And then this one actually kind of fell out of the palette, so I repressed it back in there. And other than that, I think these 2 are probably going to be quite easy to use up, but I do want to focus on a matte shade to finish up next. And a part of me is looking at this peachy shade right there called Utopia. I think that would be kind of nice with spring coming up. So you may see this pulled into a project at some point, or I might just decide to try and work on it myself. We'll see how it goes. But I think I've been making some pretty decent progress over the last few years, and I'm excited to just continue on and hopefully eventually finish it off as much as I possibly can. So I do have the new nude palette, which I'm going to tell you right now I have never used. It is absolutely untouched. The shade right down here, a part of me has contemplated like taking it out because I don't think I'm ever going to use it. And then the glitters, I'm not too sure about either. I don't necessarily want to take them out of here and then have those empty pans with nothing else really being used. I love the color story. It's definitely like up my alley, but for some reason I just haven't really reached for it or even thought about it. And it might be because of those 3 shades there. Oh no, this isn't the one that I wanted to take out. It's not in here yet. I thought this was that like jelly shade. That's not the one. This one only has those 2 glitters that I'm unsure about. So I probably should reach for this a little bit more. I guess I could technically get rid of this now because I don't know why I'm even holding on to it. But yeah, so that is the new nude palette. Then I have the Rose Quartz palette, which I absolutely love. I have used this one. This was in panning solitaire a few years ago, but I never quite finished off that project. So I do have quite a few pans in here. I think it's this shade is one of my absolute favorites. And yeah, Moon Magic. And it's just so pretty. Again, this is like my kind of color story. So I really do enjoy this one. And I do want to start dipping back into that eventually. And then the last Huda palette that I have is the Naughty Nude, which is, again, untouched. I have not reached for this one. And this is the one that has that weird jelly shade that I kind of want to scrape out. But again, I don't know if I'm actually going to do that or not. But it is so untouched. I feel like I really need to start dipping into this. It is more on the darker side, which isn't always my favorite, but I feel like I could probably get away with a few of these and like blending them out lightly enough or tapping into them lightly enough and just kind of like focusing in on one area that I could probably make this palette work for myself. So those are my Huda palettes. Next, let's talk about the two Pat McGrath palettes that I have. This is a little 6-pan, one of the originals. I was talking yesterday about depotting a couple Pat McGrath shades. It was from one of these palettes, so I can't remember. I think it had like the red packaging. It may have been a Christmas one a few years ago. This, for some reason, I have never used. I absolutely love the 3 shades that are now in my singles collection from this palette that I depotted, but I have never reached for this palette. I don't know why. I want to. I don't want to get rid of it. I do want to use it, but there's just something that never makes me want to reach for it. I think a few years ago I tried to, and I just never did it, but it is sticking around for sure. And then the other palette that I have is the Utopian Dream palette. I do have the packaging still, but I didn't bother putting this back into there. I did have this in Project Level Up for level 1 last year, so I do have a pan in a matte shade. This one right here, I absolutely loved and adored wearing this palette. This shade right here, I went to kind of go knock off some of the fallout from this shade, and half of this shade just fell right out. So I think you might be able to see like how low in the pan that shade actually is. So I am sure it's not very far, like if I was to reach for it to actually hit pan in it, and then it would be an easy shade to finish off. But these two were absolutely beautiful. I'm still debating the Moonlit palette, but these are like $175 Canadian. The Moonlit one is now $185 on Sephora, so don't think I really want to go that route, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay, we are going to chat about Lunar Beauty just because it's far off to the side here. The one and original palette that I have, his very first one is the Life's a Drag palette. I do have a few pans in here. I'm okay with this palette. Like, I don't mind it. It's definitely not a favorite, which is the actual prompt that I had pulled this palette in for Beauty Chest. I did manage to hit pan on Sickening. I have pan in the shade Beat, which I really did enjoy. This shade right here called Legendary has a good dip going on in it. This shade here, which is called Hunty, also has a decent dip in it. These two I've talked about before, but if you are new here, these are the two pink and yellow shades that got me into the pink and yellow looks that I absolutely adore. But it seems like the rest of the colors I just never really found to be too appealing for me. And then I don't use black at all. So I really did enjoy wearing this shade a lot when I first got this palette, but it's definitely been a while, minus pulling it into the project, since I've actually reached for it and used it. And then I have the Nude Prism palette. I did purchase this one off of Poshmark, and I had this in for, it looks like level 3 for Project Level Up last year, or the year, no, it was the year before. These are the 3 shimmers that I hit pan on. I absolutely love them. There's just something about this formula that's so different compared to everything else in my collection, and I really do enjoy it. I think it just blends so nicely. The color story is right up my alley as well. There's a couple others that I've looked at, but I don't think I'm really going to end up purchasing any of the other Lunar Beauty palettes that I've seen, but I do really like this one. Essence, I have 3 little mini palettes here. My newest one is Nothing Compares to Nude. I have not reached for this yet. It still has the little plastic packaging on it, so I just have this one for when I'm ready. I do have Coral Me Maybe, which has some decent use on it. I have a couple of pans going on in here, 3 to be exact. So I do want to completely finish off this palette at some point. And same goes for this one, the Bronze This Way palette. They're just so small that I want to kind of just get them used up. I have completely finished off this shade here. This one I was using in my brows for a long time, and then this one I ended up repressing because there was something about the shade that just kept jumping out of the pan. Like I would very rarely reach for it, but I had so much pan in that shade because it just kept breaking on me. So finally at the beginning of this year, end of last year I think it was, I ended up repressing it. So I do want to get these two used up and knocked out of my collection. Okay, we are going to chat Blend Bunny. I do have 4 palettes here, so let me make some room. All right, the first one we are going to chat about is the Sugar and Grunge palette. So I purchased this as it was being discounted because of the grunge issue. So I have not used the palette yet, but it is very pretty, very 90s, which is what, you know, the whole theme of this palette was. I was born in the 90s, earlier 90s, so I'm super excited about it, and I just wanted it mainly because of that. But all of these deep rose in her palettes, I just know I'm not going to reach for. However, I really do enjoy the color stories nonetheless. Then I have the Dollhouse palette, which I really enjoy. Don't mind the discoloration. I had this in one of my rooms facing the window, so the sun kind of got to it. But this is what this palette is looking like. I really did enjoy wearing like these shades right here. That's what I wore to my dad's wedding a few years ago now. It was super pretty, super light, but super beautiful. Shimmery, I loved it. Again, this deep row here we're just going to ignore, but I really do like the tone of this one. And then some of these shimmers I'm a little iffy about here, but I do like this palette as a whole. Then the Surge palette. This was the first palette that I purchased from Blend Bunny because these neon shades right here just caught my attention. I used them in an 80s look, but I really had to build them up, and they weren't performing the way that I was hoping for, so I haven't used them since. And I really haven't reached for this palette since. I believe this was like one of her firsts, so I mean, I believe that the formula has gotten better over time and it's just kind of hanging out, but I do like this and I think I want to try to reach for it just a little bit more just to see what my feelings on it are now. And then I do have the Blends palette, which does have one pan in here. The shade, I believe it's called Secrets. Yeah, I think I had this in Panel's eyeshadows quite a few years ago. And it is a very pretty palette. I never think to reach for it for the shades in a matte version because I do have them in other palettes as well. But it is nice to just have like a full-on matte rainbow palette for those times that you might need it. So I do enjoy this palette, even though I don't reach for it. I am happy that I have it. All right, Glaminatrix. This is the Nearly Naturals palette. This is the original. I never ended up purchasing the actual palette. It came as a bundled version or the palette, and by the time I went to go purchase the palette, there was only the bundles left of singles, which I was more than okay with. I had them in a different magnetic palette until I purchased this one here, this acrylic one, and it's absolutely beautiful. I love how this looks so much. So I am really happy. Even though this came as a bundle, it was like the original palette, so I do consider it a palette in my collection and not a palette of singles. But I really love this palette. Like, this is so pretty. You can see how much usage this shade here has. I dip into this one quite a bit, this one as well. I think it's absolutely stunning, and I'm so happy that I have it. And then the other one that I have is the Rich Romantic palette, which is also an option for Pan That palette this year. It is so pretty. This shade here has a dip going on in it, and I feel like it's not going to take me too long before I hit pan in it, which is exciting. I think it is very like bright and springy and just kind of what I need right now. So I am really excited to get a little bit more use on this palette this year. It's just a matter of when, but I'm really happy that I have this one. Then we're going to chat about Give Me Glow. So this is my Coral Nightlife palette. I had this as a level 1 for Project Level Up this year. This is a mix of the palette or the shades that actually came with this palette plus a couple of singles. I do kind of switch things out here and there. So this is what my version is looking like. I have Pan in the shade Halo, which was technically a single, but I put it in here. I really enjoyed this shade, which is also technically a single, but I threw in here. I really loved working with this bubblegum pink shade. These are absolutely beautiful. I love this palette so much. I just love Gimme Glow. Like, looking at them, sometimes it's a little intimidating, but when I actually reach for it, I was like, why don't I reach for these more? I fall in love with them every time, and I'm really happy. So this is my version of the Summer Vibes palette. So yesterday I was talking about how I had taken a couple of shades out of here and they are considered my singles, and I had taken a couple of singles and put them in the palette. So this is my version of this palette. And again, I have a few pans going on in here and I'm really excited about it. I absolutely loved this shade more than I thought I was going to. It was so pretty as an inner corner. It's got like this little bit of a yellow green shift to it. It's absolutely beautiful. I really, really did enjoy it. So that is my version of the Summer Vibes. And then the Pastel Dreams palette has always been one of like my top favorite palettes in my collection. I do have a pan in all of the shimmers in this palette, so it's just a matter of the mattes maybe eventually getting there one day, but this is what this looks like, and I still to this day absolutely love that palette. So let's chat about Beauty Bay. Now, the first palette that I have is the first palette that I actually purchased from this brand, and this is the Pastels palette, but I do have this in a project right now, so I'm not going to show you where it's sitting at. You will see that in a couple of days, so stay tuned for Project Level Up on the 5th. But this is the Pastels palette. This is an all matte pastel color story, and basically the colors that are on the outside of the packaging is what is on the inside. Then I wanted to purchase some of these 16 pan palettes. So I do have the neutrals. This one, there's a couple shades in here that I don't think I'm ever going to reach for, but I didn't mind reaching for it the couple times that I have. I really haven't used it too much. It doesn't even really look like I have dipped into it, but there's been a couple of shades here and there that I've reached for just because of, but I am happy that I have that version. Then I have the Tropical, which I absolutely love this color story. It is so fun and so bright and so summery, and everything about this is just very like sunsetty, sunrise kind of eye looks, and I think it is very, very pretty. Then I have the Berries. So this is more of just a all pink palette, which I think is absolutely stunning. You do have like the deeper berry tones here and a few more of the lighter pinks, which I absolutely really do enjoy. I have the Midnight palette, which is a mix of like purple and blues, and I was really disappointed because I swatched the shade out and you can kind of see around like the shimmer that was there, but it was just an overspray, which was so disappointing because I thought that would be absolutely beautiful all over the lids. So it was a little disappointing to realize that it was an overspray, but I think it's still a pretty color story. There's definitely shades in here like towards the bottom that I'm a little iffy about. Me and blues don't always go well together, but it is something that I'm willing to test out just a little bit more. And then I have the Earthy palette, which I was surprised I wanted to purchase because it is an all green palette, and sometimes me and greens don't mix well, but I absolutely love these two gold shimmers. They are beautiful. Some of these greens are probably not really going to mix well with me, but some of them I am excited to try out and test. I have had all of these palettes for a while, but I really haven't gotten a whole lot of use on them, so again, sooner or later, that will hopefully happen. Okay, we're gonna chat about Melt. I have had these same three palettes for quite a long time now. First is the Radioactive. I thought that this color story was so pretty, and it still is, but it's something that I don't reach for. I know matte, the Melt matte formula is very finicky sometimes, so I wasn't quite, and so was the shimmers, to be honest. So I have tried reaching for this before, but it just didn't really go over very well. In the past, I had talked about using it as a magnetic palette, but I don't even know if I'm going to do that. Like, these shades right here are just calling my name right now, but I don't know if I'm ever going to actually reach for it, but I love the packaging on it. So I don't know. We'll see what I end up doing. It's probably going to stay the way that it is right now for the next who knows how long. Next is the Rust palette. This is a really pretty color story. I did also chat about trying to get rid of this one at some point, but I did decide to pull it back into my collection. Even though these shades right here I'll never use, I'll probably only go up to here because this is probably as deep as I am willing to try. I didn't mind it, but again, their formula is so finicky that I don't ever really think about using my Melt palettes. And then the very first one that I purchased was the original Gemini palette. I did really like this one though, and I did have good luck with this one. Again, the black I have not used, but I did kind of more of like a grungy green look, and then I did, you know, more of the neutral look, and I really did enjoy wearing this palette. So this is more of a fall time palette for me. So maybe later on this year I will start to actually reach for it. Now we're going to chat about Too Faced, and this is going to, whoops, take a little bit because this is somehow the brand that I think I have the most palettes from. So let's chat about some of these larger ones first. We have the Teddy Bear palette. I actually really, really like this palette. I think I got this at Marshall's for like less than 20 bucks, so I had to pick it up. I'm happy that I did. I think it's really pretty. I've been able to do a few different looks with it. You've got more of like the neutral here. You've got more of the pinky toned looks there. I've completely finished off this. I think it was a lid setting shade. I hit pan in that shade right there. I have the tiniest little pan in that matte right there. I don't think this would be a palette that I would try to hit pan on anymore. I did have a difficult time with that, unless it happened to be a shimmer, because those usually tend to be a lot easier. But I am happy that I have this palette. It is beautiful. I really do enjoy wearing it. Then I have the Pumpkin Spice palette, and this is what she's looking like. So I have used every single shade in here at least one time, if not more. This one has a little bit of a dip going on in it. So I do have this in my light version of Project Level Up, but we're not going to chat about that. So I enjoy this palette a lot. And then I have the Born This Way Sunset Stripped and the Natural Nude. So this one comes first. So we're going to chat about this one. I bought this one after though, because the Sunset Stripped one was gifted to me for Christmas a few years ago. And I figured if I had that one, I wanted this one because I preferred this color story a little bit more. It's a little bit lighter. Still haven't reached for it, but I think it is so pretty. And knowing how I actually feel about Too Faced shadows after I start to wear them, and I really enjoy them, I am excited to dip my brushes in here a little bit and see if I enjoy this formula just as much as I do the tin packaging. And then here is the Sunset Stripped. So again, this one is a little bit on the darker side for me, but I still enjoy a lot of these shades. It's just a matter of trying to get myself to actually use them, and not doing that just yet. Okay, so then I have some of the tin packaging. This one, if you've been around, you know what this is. The heart shapes. These are the last two shades that I have for my Chocolate Bonbons palette, so I figured I would throw it in here. That is where I'm at. I would like to eventually finish those off. Then I have the Let's Play palette, super pretty, a very nice little pink kind of color story. I absolutely love it. Then we have the Salted Caramel, which was one of the first that I ever purchased, and I fell in love with this palette. Like the first time I ended up reaching for it. I think it is so pretty. Then we have the You're So Hot palette. This was a Christmas release a few years ago, and I had to like hunt down this palette to be able to purchase it. I think it was Cult Beauty that I bought it off of, and I was so happy that I did. I started reaching for this back in September when I went on my trip, and I fell in love with it. And then the Mini Gingerbread Spice palette. I bought this when I bought the Salted Caramel. This is probably my least favorite color story out of all of those, but I still did enjoy this one. I remember wearing it for Christmas a few years back, and yeah, I think it's still really pretty. Just out of them all, it's my least favorite. All right, so we are slowly but surely getting there. We are going to talk about my Kaja bento boxes. So a few of these I purchased kind of recently. I have the Peach Madeleine, which is a very pretty champagne shimmer on top. You have this very light satiny shimmer in the center, and then you have a corally peachy kind of matte on the bottom. I really do like these. I love that they're so compact and you can just like easily take them with you somewhere. But I also love how they perform. I think they're super nice. So then I have the Alada Colada. This one I believe has one shimmer, so you have more of like a mustard yellow matte on top. Then you have a very light shimmery shimmer in the center, and then you have the brown matte on the bottom. So that's a super pretty eye look as well. Then I have Rosewater. This one is all shimmer. I have a dip going on in the top there. Then I have pan in this more purpley rosy kind of shade, and then this one down here, it did shatter a little bit, so there's a little bit of pan again It is a deeper purple, so I don't think it's going to take too long to actually finish, but it's, again, not really my kind of color, so we'll have to see. Then I have Neutral Moment. This one I think I purchased at Winners. This is all matte. Was not the one that I thought it was, so I was a little bit disappointed when I realized, but that's okay. It's a little bit deeper, so you have your Bone Matte shade right there. You have more of a cool tone light brown, and then you have a cool tone darker brown right there. It's still really pretty. Then I have Orange Blossom. So this one is also an all shimmer one. So I have a dip going on in this very light peachy orangey kind of shimmer. I have a slight little pan going on in this orange shimmer here. I really did enjoy that one. And then you have a brown shimmer on the bottom. And then last but not least, honestly, the one that I would get compliments on my eyes every time I would wear this is Hella Azalea. So you have this very pretty light pink shimmer. It's the only shimmer in the little trio. You do have a brighter pink matte, and then you have a darker-ish purple matte. And like I said, anytime I would wear these, I would always get compliments on my eyes, and I just absolutely love these little things. I think they're so good, not just for travel, but just for something quick and easy. I really, really do enjoy these. Okay. We are going to chat ABH. So the newest palette to my collection is the Spice palette. I did have this in a project recently. I have used every shade at least one time. I really am enjoying this shimmer right there. This one I don't mind either. I think I've only used this one once. Everything else I only used the one time, but I do enjoy this palette. Then I have the Nouveau palette, which I purchased sometime, I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I have not touched it yet, but I'm not ready to just yet either. So this is the color story of that one. And one day I will get there. Then I have the infamous Amrezy palette. I do have a couple pans going on in these two shimmers here. I've used these two quite a bit. It's this glitter right here, and I think that's the glitter. No, Liddy right here and this glitter here just kind of like puts me off from using the palette sometimes, and then a couple of these deeper shades. But I really do enjoy this. The shade Wasted is really pretty, but I think Barb is one of my favorites, and then I do enjoy that shade Cupcake right there. And then, surprise, surprise, I repurchased Soft Glam during Black Friday, I think it was, because Sephora had ABH 30% off, and I was going to wait until sometime this year because I knew I was hitting Rouge, and then I saw 30 and I was like, well, that's even better. So it is staying in the packaging because I am not ready to use this at all. I had this as my Pan That palette, I also panned the Norvina palette back in 2021. And there was I want that one back too, but there's just something about this color story. I just absolutely love this palette. So I was like, you know what? I don't even care. I'm repurchasing it. All right, we're almost there. We're almost done. I have two Patrick Ta palettes, the Major Dimensions and then Major Dimensions 2. Now, I want to give these another shot because, so there's two pans in here. I was not a big fan of these shimmer shades, and I really didn't reach for the mattes all that much. The Major Dimensions 2, I don't really think I've used at all, to be completely honest. And I think because I was so iffy about how I felt about the shimmers here, I thought they were a little bit drying. I haven't reached for this one. Now, when Patrick Ta came out with those little 6-pan matte palettes and then the shimmer duos, I swatched a few and they were beautiful. So I really wanted those, and then I had seen people compare them to these and say that they're the same. So because of that, I want to kind of let myself test these out again, see how I feel about them, because am I going to purchase those other ones? Honestly, probably not. But I feel like they were just so nice to swatch and play with in person that if these are the same, then I already have these, so I don't need those other ones. But I'm so curious because I did not feel that way about those palettes. But you never know. Maybe I was wrong. All right, so I have a few palettes here from Sigma. I placed a large order quite a few years ago, and I haven't really ordered from Sigma since, so these all came together. This was the Christmas palette at the time called Warm Wishes. It's really pretty. I think I used this once earlier this year to see if I wanted to put it into one of my panning projects. I decided against it, but I think it's a pretty palette. Then I have the spicy palette here. This came, I think, as a free gift with my order, which was kind of cool. But I also want to try these out again because I don't feel like these shimmers really gave off what I was expecting. And so many people hype these up and I'm just like, I don't get it. So I think I do want to try and reach for them. Like swatching them out, they're beautiful. They're so pretty in the pan. But I think just on my eyes, I wasn't getting the hype that everybody was talking about. And then I have the actual Quarter Rosa palette here. There goes the brush. And again, I completely finished off this shade. It was a matte bone shade that I used to set down my lids. But like, I just wasn't really pulling for anything. So like, I really wanted this palette because of the color story. And then I got it and I just haven't really wanted to reach for it too much. So I feel like with spring coming up, I can have the opportunity to do so. But I don't know. I just feel like I need to test out these shimmers a little bit more, test out these mattes, see what the big hype is because, oh no, I just dug all of that into the shade and now it's going to get everywhere. Cool. We're just going to close that up and put that away. But yeah, I just wasn't getting like the big hype that everybody was like talking about these palettes and the impact that they were talking about. And I just didn't see it. Okay, we are going to talk about my Glamlight palettes. I do have 4 of them here. I have the Chocolate Martini palette. I love this palette. I have quite a few pans in here. And I would like to get more. I would like to have pan in almost everything in this palette. I think it is so pretty. This I believe I used like in my brows. Some of these shimmers were absolutely stunning. This one right here was probably one of my favorites. I really did enjoy this palette. And it made me want more. I do have the Margarita palette, and there's something about this one that makes me like want to hold on to it but not want to use it. And then I just don't know what I want to do with it. And I was looking at this recently and I was like, no, like it would be so much fun for summer. I don't want to get rid of it, but I never reached for it. And then I'm like, some of these shades I would really love to use in the summertime. And I think it would be so much fun to just kind of try something a little bit different. And I'm talking more about like this side of the palette. A couple of these like shades here, but something, I don't know, there's just something that doesn't pull me towards this. And I'm really hoping that I'll probably keep it in my collection. I don't see myself decluttering it, but I would like to try and get some more use on it. Then I have the original Michaela palette, and I'm just going to say I purchased this like well after. I don't even know who she is. Like, well, now I do, but like at the time I had no idea, nor did I care. This is stunning. I bought this for the color story. I absolutely love it. These shimmers are so pretty. I love the shade here called Naz, I think. Yeah, Naz. I do have a pan in Glow Up, and I have a pan in that shade right there called Accent. I also have a shade down here called Frisky with pan in it. So I think that this is a very pretty color story. I would like to get a lot and a little more use on this palette, have some more pans going on in it, but I really do enjoy that one. And then probably my favorite is the Ice Cream Dream palette, and this is what I reached for Saturday night when I did my eye look for my birthday. Like I said, I did a Y2K themed party, and I will show you when I can open it. I reached for just these 2 shades, and it was so pretty. And then I tapped that Free Spirit from the Groovy Garden palette on my lid very lightly. Absolutely beautiful. I loved that shade or that look so much. I think a lot of these shimmers are so pretty. There's definitely some shades in here that I'm iffy about trying to like hit pan on because I have considered pulling this like whole palette in for, you know, some type of panning project to use every single shade and hit pan in every single shade, like panning solitaire. But if that's something that I do, like, you know, this shade, this one, I'm a little iffy off. This one, kind of like this little piece right here, I'm not so sure about, but everything else, I think I just absolutely love this palette. I remember when I first got it, I was into this so much. I think it is still probably one of my favorite palettes, especially from Glamlight in my collection. Okay, last but not least, we are going to talk Natasha Denona. I do have a few to go through, and then that is going to be it. So I do have 2 of these larger 5-pan palettes. I don't have any of the minis, but I do have these ones, and I purchased them off Poshmark. So the first one is the Palette Peak. Haven't reached for it. This shade kind of throws me a little bit, but I think the rest of it I could actually use. And I could definitely use that shade, but I don't know if it's like the color story that makes me like iffy about it or what it is. But I think like this shade is absolutely beautiful. I could use this no problem, but there's just something about it that makes me not reach for it. So I want to pull that off to the side at some point and try to use it. Then I have the Coral palette. And again, I have not reached for this one, but these two right here are a little bit too red for me. And I don't think I'm actually going to reach for them. So it's more so with the shimmer and then these lighter shades, which is no problem for me to use. So I'm not entirely sure why I purchased this one, to be honest. I don't want to get rid of it. I really do like this shade. So maybe I'll just focus on those three at some point and not worry about those two. Then we are going to chat about my midi palettes. I do have 5 of them here. So we are going to talk about this one first. This is the Sunrise palette. I purchased this off Poshmark a few years ago as well. Had this in for Project Level Up a couple years ago, and I hit pan in that shade right there. I love this palette. Like, just looking at this side right here, these like berry and the yellow tones just absolutely pull me in. And again, it could possibly more than likely be because I love the combo of like pink and yellow. I think it's so pretty. So I really do enjoy this color story, and even though this is like more on the deeper side than this side is, I'm gravitating more towards this, plus of course that shimmer. So I think it is super pretty. Then I have the Love palette. This was the first palette that I purchased from Natasha Denona. It was 50% off, so that's why I bought it. And I actually enjoyed this formula, so I knew that if I was going to like this, I would like the rest of them. I feel like this one people were a little iffy on. Color story wise, it's not my favorite. There's definitely some pinks in here that I do enjoy. I pull in this silver shade once in a while to get a little bit of use on, but I've never tried to hit pan in it or anything like that. So yeah, it just kind of hangs out. There's some shades in here that I don't think I'm really going to use, more so like these purples, this shade right here, like these ones. It's more of like the lighter pinks that I really enjoy out of here, but I don't think I can see myself getting rid of that palette. Then my pastel palette I had in for pan that palette in order last year. So I have pan in every single shade -2, which are these last 2 down here. I really did enjoy this palette. I used it as a companion palette. You could definitely pull a couple of the shades together to create a look. I could do that with the pinks. I can do that with these minty shades right here. And I think I did a couple of times. The only thing that really sucked was I don't know if it was both of these or if it was just one. It may have just been this one, but it was like so powdery going onto the lids that I would try to blend it and it would just blend away. I would try to pack it on and it would just go disappear. And it was really disappointing. I found that I think with this shade right here as well. So that kind of really sucked. Because everything else I really enjoyed. It packed on nicely. It stayed nicely. I really did enjoy reaching for this palette and trying to use it in as many looks as I possibly could. I hit pan rather quickly on all of those ones. Then I have the retro palette with this color story is probably one of my absolute favorites. It is definitely like a me kind of color story. When I do reach for this, I have fallen in love with every look that I've done. The shade here called Andy, I believe. Yep. I have a pan in already, which was unintentional, and you can see it's like a little heart-shaped pan. I have reached for every shade in here at least one time, if not more. I have really enjoyed this. The shade Psychedelic was really pretty. I would just kind of put Andy and Psychedelic on the lid, or this shade right here. I think it's Glitz. Yeah, Glitz, you know, it just a super simple look. I really, really liked the shade here as well. I created some really pretty looks with this, and these are like the cool tone shades that I really do enjoy. Then the newest palette to my collection, it came in on Christmas Day. That's when I ended up receiving it, is the I Need a Nude palette. And I am so happy that I have this. I have not reached for it yet, but this is one palette that I have really been wanting for a long time now. And I finally was able to purchase it. It went out of stock and in stock and out of stock and in stock so many times. But yeah, I finally was able to get this for Christmas. So I'm really excited to actually start reaching for this. Of course, there's a couple shades in here that are a little bit too dark for me, more like these 3 right here that I'm looking at, but I think I can get some really, really good use on this palette as a whole for the most part, and I am just so excited to see like pans in this eventually and see what it's eventually going to look like. I think that this is going to end up being like a go-to palette for me when I do end up eventually reaching for it. And then last but not least, my last Natasha Denona palette, the last palette in my collection, is the Trio Chrome palette. So this one went on like half off, if not maybe more, and that is the reason why I purchased this, because this was like $170, I'm pretty sure. And there was something about this color story that like I wanted so badly. I haven't really reached for it all that often. I do think it's still really pretty. I do enjoy it. I do think that, you know, I want to try and reach for it a little bit more, as well as a bunch of other palettes that I've talked about today. But I think it's nice. I do like that they're larger. I do think that it's, you know, these ones that kind of mix with them. So I can kind of create my own little color story with these 5-pan palettes, which is, you know, part of the reason why I have them as well. I can just kind of like mix and match, which is really nice. But yeah, I think it is a super pretty palette. I know people were like hating on the fact that there was only like 3 multi-chrome shades. I really don't care all that much. But I just think it's a pretty palette. And again, these two are kind of like eyeing me up right now. Maybe even with a little mix of this. A couple of these lighter shades. This one right here is super pretty. So I do want to, again, dip into this one a little bit more in the future and just show it some more love. Show a lot of these palettes a lot more love, especially the ones that I don't have in projects. Yeah, and just kind of see where I want to go. So as an honorable mention, because I have had this for a long time now, and it was never really considered part of my collection, and then I had it just kind of sitting off to the side, but I decided to, I don't know if I want to include this in my collection or not, but this is the MAC and Jeremy Scott collab. This was the eyeshadow palette, and I think like this whole packaging, the whole collab was just absolutely stunning. I love this so much. Have I reached for this? No, I don't really use it ever. So like I said, it was just kind of hanging off to the side, and I'm debating actually pulling it into my collection and trying to get a little bit of use on it. So I wanted to throw it in here as an honorable mention. I don't know if I'm going to ever use it or not, but I might surprise myself one day and feel like it. And if that's the case, then cool. And maybe if that's the case and I enjoy it, then you'll see it in some projects if, you know, it happens to work out that way. But I think that I'm really happy that I have this. So I just wanted to show this to you guys as well. So this does not count as part of my 85 palettes. This would be 86 if I did decide to include it. So that is it. That is all of my eyeshadow palettes. Like I said, I really hope I didn't miss anything. There's a chance that I possibly did. For some reason, I thought I had more Viseart, like those little mini palettes, but I might not even have those anymore because I can't seem to find where they are. So I'll just have to see. But I am going to go over a little bit of pan percentage with you guys. Again, I have everything at work on a spreadsheet, so I am going to put up different numbers because I did the pan percentage per how many specific eyeshadows I actually have within all of these palettes. And then I also did the pan percentage as to how many eyeshadow palettes in my collection have pan. Those numbers happen to be at work, I think. I don't see them in here. Actually. Yeah, this is just... Oh no, I do have them here. Okay, and then I think my total between singles and palettes is at work. So I'll probably throw something up on the screen if I remember. So we are going to... Why do I have 87 palettes? And I counted 85. I don't know. I probably just counted wrong, to be honest. Because some of them I ended up having like... This is what I did. So I just kind of like wrote out the palette, the shade. I wrote out, or all of the shades. I wrote how many had pan, how many are empty, and how many don't have pan. And then I'm like how many shades there are in total. And then some of them I ended up doing like 2 per page. I tried not to, but let me see if I can find. Like I ended up doing stuff like this and splitting that up. So I probably just counted wrong. So 87 eyeshadow palettes is what I have. Okay, so out of those 87 eyeshadow palettes, I have a total of 1,067 eyeshadows. That's a lot of eyeshadows. And out of those 1,067 eyeshadows, 98 of them have pan. which is 9.18%. Out of the shades that have pan, 21 of those are actually completely empty. And the empty pans are 1.96%. And then the actual like number of shades that have pan in it, but there's still eyeshadow in that pan, is 119. And that's 11.5. That does not make sense. Oh no, I mixed it up. Sorry. The 98% of shades with pan are the ones that still have eyeshadow in the pan. So that's 9.18%. The number of empty pans is 21. And then in total, empty pan or pan showing in a shade is 119, which makes sense because 98 plus 21, 119. So there is a total of 11.15% of eyeshadows in all of these palettes that have pan in them, which means that I have 946 eyeshadows with no pan, and that's 88.65% of my eyeshadows. Then I decided I wanted to figure out how many eyeshadow palettes actually have pan in them and what the percentage of that is. So out of the, what did I say, 87 palettes, I have 37 that actually do have pan in them, and that's a total of 43%, which I thought was really good. 32 palettes with pan. Why did I have 37 number of palettes with pan hit? Oh, that's why. So I have 32 palettes with eyeshadows with pan in them, and then 5 eyeshadow palettes have completely empty pans. So the 32 palettes that have shades with pan in it is 36.78%, and then the 5 eyeshadow palettes that I have with completely empty pans is 5.74%. Okay, so I think I was doing like a combination. The total eyeshadows with pan in my collection, I have between singles and palettes, I have 1,135 total eyeshadows. So I have a total of 111 pans with, or shades with pan, which is 9.77% of my collection. So when you include everything, I am just shy of 10% of my whole eyeshadow collection having pan in it. Those numbers can get a little confusing. I'm going to try and put them up on the screen if I remember, and if not, I apologize. I know this is the first time I've done like a pan percentage, so I apologize that it's a little like messy and all over the place and probably a little complicated to like wrap your head around. It's harder for me to wrap my head around. But I wanted to kind of throw that in because I know a lot of you guys are interested in pan percentage and stuff like that. And I think it's kind of cool to listen to. But sometimes trying to do the work to actually figure it out is a lot. So hopefully I can take these numbers, compare them to either later on this year, next year, whether I purchase eyeshadow palettes or not within this year. I don't know. There's a few that I'm looking at. But like I said, the newest palette to my collection is the Natasha Denona I Need a New palette. So nothing has come in since December 25th of 2025. So I've been doing half decent so far, but I am curious to see what the rest of the year is going to be like because there's a couple palettes that I'm interested in. So that is it for now. Thank you so much if you stuck around. If you did, give me some sort of like high five emoji for like getting through this. I apologize that it is over an hour long, but I'm going to wrap it up right now. I do have a few things I need to do before I start getting ready for work. So I'm going to go tackle that stuff. I hope you guys really did enjoy this. If you guys have pan percentages, let me know what it is down in the description box. Again, throw me a high five, throw me some sort of like even a hug emoji for working my way through this. And let's just chat down below. What out of these eyeshadow palettes do you have? Are there any that you want? What do you think? Let's just chat. I always enjoy doing that with you guys. So that is it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you, and I will see you guys all later. Bye.